How long would you wait for your love to be recognized? Hi there, I'm Chris with a K, and welcome back to This Week in Queer History, where we find hope-filled, inspirational, and strategic moments from queer history that we can use today. This week, we're talking about two women who didn't just fall in love, they built an entire movement while they were at it. Martin and Phyllis Lyon, together for over 50 years before the law finally caught up to them. And this story could not be more relevant right now.
This week in queer history, stories told with love and glee.
So let's set the scene. It's 5:01 p.m. on June 16th, 2008. The doors of San Francisco City Hall swing open and two women walk in. Martin, age 87, and Phyllis Lyon, age 84. They've been together for 56 years. 56! And they were about to become the first same-sex couple legally married in the state of California. Mayor Gavin Newsom stands before them. Is wearing a lavender pantsuit. Phyllis is in a blue dress. And city employees who volunteered to stay late burst into applause. Reporters are crying. And when Newsom pronounces them married, the photograph, two elderly women, hands clasped, eyes bright with decades of love, it flashes across newswires around the world. But we have to remember, this wasn't their first time at the altar. 4 years earlier, on February 12, 2004, newly elected Mayor Newsom ordered the San Francisco city clerk to start issuing marriage licenses to same-sex couples. And Phyllis were first in line. At that time, they were 83 and 79 years old, and for a few glorious weeks, about 4,037 same-sex couples got married in San Francisco. But then, the California Supreme Court shut it down, and they voided every single one of those marriages, all 4,037 of them, including and Phyllis's. Phyllis Lyon's response? is 83 years old and I am 79. After being together for more than 50 years, it's a terrible blow to have the rights and protections of marriage taken away from us. At our age, we do not have the luxury of time. That quote landed like a fist, and it fueled 4 more years of legal battle. But to really understand what that 2008 wedding meant, you have to understand who these women were long before any marriage license existed. was born Dorothy Louise Taliaferro in San Francisco in 1921. Phyllis was born in 1924. They met in Seattle around 1950. 1950. And by 1952, they were in love. And on Valentine's Day 1953, they moved in together on Castro Street, decades before that street became a symbol of gay liberation. In 1955, they co-founded the Daughters of Bilitis, the first social and political organization for lesbians in the United States. A year later, they launched The Ladder, the first nationally distributed lesbian publication in American history. For women isolated in hostile towns and dangerous cities, The Ladder was a lifeline. It said, "You exist, you are not alone, and someone is fighting for you." They helped establish the Council on Religion and the Homosexual. They became foundational members of the Alice B. Toklas Democratic Club, San Francisco's first gay political organization. became the first open lesbian on the board of NOW, and the first openly gay woman appointed to San Francisco's Commission on the Status of Women. A health clinic was named after them, Lyon Martin Health Services, serving lesbians, transgender patients, and people with HIV. These women weren't waiting for permission. They were building the world that would eventually grant them the right to marry. So when remarriage cases came before the California Supreme Court, the stakes were personal. On May 15th, 2008, in a 4-3 decision, Chief Justice Ronald George declared that sexual orientation was a suspect classification, deserving the highest constitutional protection. California became only the second state to legalize same-sex marriage, and a clock started ticking. Because opponents had already gathered signatures for Proposition 8. Oh yes, Prop 8. It was a constitutional amendment to ban same-sex marriage. The window between the ruling and election day was exactly the width of one summer. And and Phyllis seized it. They walked into City Hall on June 16th and said, "Now, not tomorrow, not when conditions are better, now." But then, sadly, just 72 days later, on August 27th, 2008, Martin died. She was 87 years old. She died legally married to the woman she had loved for over a half a century. Mayor Newsom ordered flags at City Hall flown at half staff. And never saw what came next. On November 4th, Proposition 8 passed with 52.3% of the vote. Same-sex marriage was banned again in California. And we need to talk about how this all happened. This wasn't some organic groundswell. This was a coordinated, well-funded religious campaign targeting the civil rights of LGBTQ people. The LDS Church, the Mormon Church, yes, the one that I come from, was the single largest institutional force behind the Yes on 8 campaign. An estimated $20 to $25 million poured in from LDS members, plus massive volunteer coordination, phone banks, door-to-door canvassing, the works. The Catholic Church contributed heavily too. Evangelical organizations piled on. The National Organization for Marriage, co-founded by religious conservatives, coordinated much of the strategy. And here's a part that's really interesting. The Mormon Church, an institution that spent over a century fighting for its own right to define marriage through polygamy, spent millions of dollars to prevent other people from defining theirs. Yes, listen to that again. An institution that knows what it feels like to have the government tell you your marriages aren't valid, turned around and did exactly the same thing to us. Now, I'm not saying that I agree with the way the Mormon Church did polygamy in the past. I'm just saying it's interesting that they should then flip the script. But the approximately 18,000 couples who married that summer, including Del and Phyllis, kept their marriages. The court preserved them. Federal challenges wound through the courts, and in 2010, Judge Vaughn Walker struck down Prop 8. The case then climbed to the Supreme Court, which in June 2013 cleared the way for marriages to resume in California. And then, on June 26th, 2015, Obergefell versus Hodges made marriage equality the law of the land. Justice Kennedy wrote, "They ask for equal dignity in the eyes of the law. The Constitution grants them that right." Phyllis Lyon lived to see it. She reportedly laughed and said, "Well, how about that? For goodness sakes." The most perfectly Phyllis Lyon response imaginable. She died on April 9th, 2020, at the age of 95. In the house on Duncan Street, she and Del had purchased together in 1955. That house is now preserved as the Lyon Martin House, a historic landmark. And here is why this story matters so much right now, because it doesn't stay safely in the past. A huge thank you to the members that you see on screen right now. Your support makes this all possible, and it helps me keep digging through archives and sharing the queer history that inspires us. If you'd like to join them, there's a link up above and in the description down below. And if membership isn't in your budget right now, no worries. Subscribing and hitting the bell helps more than you know. Most of all, thank you for being here. Bills are moving through state legislatures right now that would let private citizens, businesses, and organizations refuse to recognize same-sex marriages. A hospital could refuse to acknowledge your spouse's right to make medical decisions. A landlord could turn you away, and they call it religious freedom. But let's call it what it really is. Inequality. And we also need to bring up accountability, because some of these institutions that spent millions destroying our rights have started saying that they've evolved, that they've all issued statements and they've softened their language. But here's the thing, an apology is just words. Making amends requires action. If the Mormon Church funneled $25 million to destroy marriage equality, then true amends means funneling money to support LGBTQ organizations, youth programs, mental health services for the queer kids that were pushed to the brink. Until they do that, sorry is hollow. You don't get to spend millions tearing down something and then heal it with a press release. You heal it with your wallet, your policies, your actions. That's making amends, and that's what it looks like. That's what shows true intent. And you know who understood that all too well? Del and Phyllis. They didn't just talk about equality, they built it. Organizations, publications, political movements, a health clinic, action, not words, for over 50 years. That's the lesson. You don't stop living. When things aren't given to you, when it seems impossible, you do not stop living. You persist. You keep living as if the truth you feel in your heart is real, because it is. The fight is making everybody else see it. They didn't stop when their 2004 marriage was voided. They didn't give up. They treated themselves as married because they were, license or no license. And when the opportunity came, they showed up again, first in line. And that's what we have to do now. We have to be active, show up, talk about it. We have to remember who we are inside and treat ourselves that way first, and then stand up and demand the world treat us that way too. Martin and Phyllis Lyon didn't wait for the world to be ready. They made the world ready, and we carry that forward. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Did you know about Del and Phyllis? Or were you one of the couples who married during that summer of 2008? Please share your story. We all love to read them, and I respond to every single one. And if you haven't already, check out this video popping up right over here for some more queer history. And you can click the link up above or down in the description and share your email so that we can stay connected. And I share more history, I ask questions, and I build more connection. So please check it out. Until next time, stay strong, stay bold, and keep making history.